we have here the thanksgiving of Jesus. I bless you, Father, Lord of heaven and earth, for hiding these things from the learned and the clever and revealing them to mere children. One day, in one of the main streets of Oxford, two dons, as they're called, that's the people who lecture in Oxford, theologians were walking down and having a talk, and it was becoming quite heated. They were talking shop, they were talking things theological, and they couldn't agree, and the temperature was rising. Eventually they stopped, but they stopped at a hole in the ground, and in the hole in the ground was a good Irishman with a pickaxe digging. But he stopped when he heard this going on. He said nothing until there was a pause, and from way under he said, "Ah, you up there, you know it all. We don't know a thing, but we're all in agreement." So, on they went to themselves. And this posh Oxford don thought and thought and thought about what he just heard. And the effect was such that eventually he became a Catholic. The simple people. I've had lots of testimonies of simple people who know more than the posh people. Even, and this concerns you, children. Do you know that sometimes things happen to children that don't happen to big people, especially when they're small? Recently, I heard one or two cases of this kind of thing going on, especially when there were children who were completely handicapped and couldn't behave like other children, couldn't hear, couldn't speak, perhaps even couldn't see. I've heard it especially within the travelling community, but it happens in general that sometimes the Lord recompenses them. And this kind of thing has been picked up. The parents have sometimes noticed in cases like this that the children, who for them are as it were out of touch, are sometimes at some moments as it were playing with something around them, laughing, gesticulating, in contact with. And it would seem that in some cases what they're doing is they're playing with angels. Did you hear about that kind of thing going on? Yes, that's confirmation. And it's not surprising. And one day I had a travelling person, a daddy, with me. He was in bits. And he sat down in the kitchen and told me what was on his heart. They'd lost a child like that, but the child had grown up. But they always remained children. And therefore, all those years they'd given to 24/7 care of this severely handicapped child, who couldn't do anything like another child, not even see or talk. And seeing is an important one. But if they took that child to somewhere, a holy place, that child straight away changed and started to beam and knew somehow that there was a presence and there were things going on. It was a world directly between the child's soul and heaven. And eventually the child, grown up, died, and because they'd given everything to this presence in the house, the bottom had been taken out of their life. They couldn't cope. And by the way, do you know that when these children, or grown up by now, die, the first thing that happens is that, can you guess?
Church?
Well, yes, but I mean actually immediately on the natural level.
Goes up to heaven?
Well, you see what's going on there is, if you can imagine the soul coming out, while the soul is in the body, it's seeing through the channels of communication, the eyes. So as soon as the soul comes out, it starts to see not with the eyes, but with the soul directly, and therefore, for the first time ever in that case, they see. And we know that from people who have, for instance, died in an accident or an operation or something, who are blind, always blind, and for the first time they start to see. But then if they call them back through the operation or whatever, they come back and they can't see again. But it's a bit of a shock to their system, which is very interesting, isn't it? That we forget that it's only when we're on earth that we're seeing through the channels of the eyes and hearing through the channels of the ears. The soul has its own life afterwards. Now, this feast is a feast of a great Frenchman, St. John Eudes, who founded three things really, but he's remembered because he's the precursor of our present devotion to the two hearts of Jesus and Mary. We're going back to the 1600s now, so it's very early. Now, he was part of the great French school of these great writers and saints who saw the excellence of the priesthood. And by the way, you men here, remember, don't put that off the horizon, because it's in a family like this that vocations are born. And just be open to that as well, because there's nothing more beautiful than to give oneself to Jesus. Now, that's a little parenthesis, but it's kind of important as well, just to plug that one in, because where else would vocations come from but a good family of faith? Now, with regards to things that happen in this relationship with the two hearts, it's very personal. And I just want to zoom into that for a second. We will not upset our best friend, will we, if we want to keep him our best friend? And it's in that context that we understand what the Christian life is about. It's not so much a religion as a relationship. And if that's there, all the rest will follow. If it's not there, it'll crumble. So as you're going through life, remember that. It's a secret I'm giving you. Just let Jesus be part of every decision and every action. If that's there, he'll keep you from within from making mistakes. If he's not, you'll have no antibodies. And you'll just imitate other people as you get older. But this friend that we have is a real friend, and he's interested in all that we do. So now as we often ask for your intentions, he knows what they are. All your problems, you put them here on the altar, and he's listening. And we have power at the altar. But he's also someone, he's fully human, and we forget that. He's fully divine, but he's very close especially to the little people. And as the Gospel suggests, that is his heart. He loves the simple and those who come to him in confidence. And he also, and we forget this, has a divine sense of humour. Because we've got it, it means that we've received it. We only receive something that comes from a greater. So the reflections that we have of goodness come from the essential goodness. And I'll just tell you a story to finish. Because you have friends who go, for instance, down to Carlo and so on, down there. Well, that's one of the centres where the Lord is very much honoured and prayed to, and also where good teaching happens on a monthly basis. But there are others too in Ireland, like Clonfert and so on. You may have been around yourself a bit. And Eddie, who's in Clonfert, is a personal friend of mine. And things always happen there. And it's very well protected because the bishop is the chairman of all that's going on there. Clonfert, Emmanuel House of Providence, isn't it? They live on Providence and it always works. Well, things happen there. Because God is honoured and all happens in the presence of the Blessed Sacrament exposed. Jesus is the centre and not man. There's no ego trip. It's not for me, for me, for me. Jesus heals. And also he gives gifts. Well, a friend of mine who one time wanted to go to hear Eddie because he was in town. He was going around different parts. And he was coming to where she was working. But she was working as a chef in a golf club. And she was getting to the end of the orders before she could go. And at the last minute, orders were still coming through and they wanted something specific, which took time. And she was a bit frustrated because she wanted to go and hear Eddie. So anyway, she got through it as best she could. They were actually lemon meringue pies. It took a while to do a lemon meringue pie, doesn't it? You know all about it. So anyway, there she was, whizzing through this lemon meringue pie, you see. And off she went to the prayer meeting, you see. And then Eddie, he was in this full church there holding forth, as you know he does. Yes, there's someone in the background there with pancreatic cancer. Yes, that's been healed. There's somebody there with a back pain. Yes, the Lord is putting his hand on that now. Yes, there's somebody there. Yes, Yeah, and what, you know, lemon meringue pie. You know, toss it with that one. And on he went, you see. So anyway, Ellen came up to him after, Eddie, that was for me, that lemon meringue pie. Ah, Ellen, yeah. The Lord's telling you, He hasn't forgotten you, Ellen. Remember that. Whatever your lemon meringue pie is, the Lord is interested in it. He doesn't forget the little things in our life, and He also knows how to handle them better than we do. So remember that. The important thing is the relationship with Him. If that's there, lemon meringue pies will follow.